Uh, we are back today. It's about a week later since I've been out here. Had a bunch of stuff to do this week. But we are out here again at the observatory site here in Florence, Arizona. And if you watched along on the first part there, I showed you how to, where we graded the site off real quick. And then I showed you how to stake. It was a 3-4-5 rule. And then today when I came out here, we did an X from the intersecting string lines across, and then that gave us pretty much the center of our pad. We're going to try and dig. I reiterate the word try to dig about a 2-foot hole here, but I've about 8 inches down so far, and we're already into the white caliche clay, and it is just literally like cement. So I'm gonna have to get out here with the hammer, the sledgehammer, and the digging bar. And luckily it's only one hole, and we're gonna go to work. And let me just show you what I got here. So here is the intersecting stake. You see it right there on the, if you look down, it's right over the corner of that line. And we did a stake on each corner in between those intersecting lines. And right there, if you can see, that's going to be our spot for our pier. Now remember, when you're doing this, you should be really square doing the 3-4-5 rule. But you know, if your hole's off just a little bit, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to be in your observatory measuring from the wall to the inside of your pier to make sure you're not like a ½ inch off. But we'll come back in a little bit after I'm nice and sweaty and my hands are hurting from beating on this digging bar. Okay, just an update on our hole for our pier. I've been out here for a few hours, and unfortunately, just about one whole half side of this 13 or 14 inch hole has like a caliche clay in it. If you're not from Arizona and you're not familiar with that, it's literally like cement. And I had my auger out here. Of course, I broke it, and then I fixed it, and I got down a little bit, and I was out here with a sledgehammer and a metal spike. And when you hit the end of the spike, you can feel the vibration through your knees, and it makes the hammerhead sing, and it doesn't even go in the ground. So it's getting ready to thunderstorm here. I don't know if you can see that dark cloud behind me. It's still monsoon season. I'm going to go home, and then tomorrow morning I have to get our beautiful co-host from the airport, and then I'm going to stop by my neighbor's house where all of our belongings are in the in one of the containers, and I'm going to grab my big hammer drill and a bit, and we're going to come back tomorrow and start chiseling this thing out, because we only get to pour it once we pour the pad, so it's got to be at least 2 feet deep and bigger than the 12-inch sonotube, so we have a nice ball at the bottom. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. All right, we're back out here today here in Florence, Arizona, to build our observatory. And we were working on the hole, and there was a bunch of caliche in there, and we just couldn't break through. So today we have our hammer drill there, and we are going to, if you can see this hole right here, it is like full. It looks like cement, but it's not cement. It's actually clay with rocks in it. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'll let you know how we do. Okay, here we are. So we had our hammer drill right here, and we were able to get through this caliche clay, and we are exactly 2 feet deep, which took quite a while, even with the hammer drill, of getting that hole augered out. So if you're in an area that's got softer dirt, obviously you'd want to go down to about 3 feet for your post, for your pier. And you probably, if you went down 3 feet, you wouldn't have to make it bigger than the actual sonotube. But as you can see here, here's our stakes. We have 3 stakes right here. And then as you can see that the lines intersect there, all 3 lines. And we've made an X across there. And that's going to give us our center of our 12 by 6 by 12 by 6 pad. and then that comes to right here. You're going to see that that's going to go right down in there. It looks a little off center, but the post will be a little, the pier, if you see here, you're going to take your sonotube and get right into here, get those to stop, and then if you look right there, we're going to be almost directly in the center of that sonotube, and we're going to put that down probably about 8 inches to a foot in the hole, and then we're going to use rebar to hold it up, and then we're going to put filling around it. So basically when we pour concrete, that hole is way bigger than the sonotube. It's going to be like an upside down mushroom with the pier coming out of it at ground level. This way there's a big giant heavy base at the bottom. I'm doing it here this way because of the dirt, and we're not able to get down too much further because the dirt is so hard out here. You can see that all these chips, they're actually dirt and they look like cement, but they're not. It's just dirt. But that's pretty much it, and we have our line level on our strings over there, and we're just about perfectly level everywhere. We'll know more when we get the forms in, and we'll come out here at dusk with the laser level and put the laser level on the tripod, and we'll measure all the corners and get the forms right so that it's like perfectly level. And then once we get this pier poured, we'll be ready to form up and pour our pad. Now remember, when you're doing this, you don't want your pier touching the concrete pad. That's a no-no, because as you walk on it, you are going to get vibrations through the cement into the pier. So you don't want that, especially if you're doing imaging. We're doing live EAA, electronically assisted astronomy, which is a little bit more forgiving, but not much. And you want, of course, no matter what you're doing, you want the best mount possible, because that's what takes your pictures. So what we're going to do is, after we pour the pier, we will leave this sonotube on. It's about, I don't know, a little less than a 3/16, maybe close to a 1/4 inch thick. And we're going to leave the sonotube on, and we'll pour the pad, and when we're done, we'll pull the sonotube off and spray some like muriatic acid and water down in that crack, and it'll eat away that form or that tube, and then there won't be anything touching. You'll have a little gap in between the pad and your pier, and you could put some, like here, we'll end up putting some light caulking around there to keep the bugs out, especially here. We don't want any scorpions coming up through there. So that's pretty much it. We're going to go ahead and start getting our sonotube where we want it, and then we'll be back to show you how we did that. Okay, so we're back. We've got our hole dug, and we have our sonotube put into the ground. Now, for our particular observatory, the sonotube is 2 foot from the ground, and then you'll be minus just about 4 inches because of the slab that we're putting down, because it'll be a 2x4. It'll be like 3 3/4 inch slab. So that gives us 69, like it should bring the top of our pier right about 65 inches, and I believe that's right around where it was before. The walls of our observatory are going to be 7 feet because it keeps the wind out. I know there's some suggestions to make your walls lower, and that's fine too, but out here it seems to be very windy, and the scope will be just above the wall, and it will be peering like probably at about a 20-degree angle to get out. Not quite 0 degrees to see across the horizon, but that's okay because we don't see across the horizon. All right, so this is how we did it. Now here, because the ground is so hard, I'm going to let you see here. Here we go. All right, so if you can see in there, the sonotube is about 8 inches into the ground, and then we've used a big piece of rebar across the hole to stable it, and then a couple other ones poked through there at the same height, and then I reach my hand down in there and I put them into the ground to like spear them so that the sonotube sort of stays where it's supposed to be. And then what I did was I took a piece of old crate lid, you know, the plastic crates, and I roughed it out and I cut it with the Sawzall and I laid it down around there on top of the rebar that's going through there and made like a top to it. And then I filled it with rocky dirt on top. This way, the sonotube's only about 8 inches in our ground, and then we have that. It's about a 16-inch hole, and all that will fill up with concrete. So the base will be about 16 inches across, and our tube coming out of the ground is 12 inches. Now remember, you may not have to have such a big pier, depending on what size your telescope is. Obviously, Clyde is a big C14. You know, the scope is 60-some pounds with all the stuff on it, and the mount, who knows how much the mount is. It's very heavy, and then there's 3 25-pound counterweights on the scope itself. So there's a lot of weight up there. So we just wanted to make sure we have a really good base. But if you have something smaller, you probably won't need. You could probably get away with an 8 or a 10-inch post pier. But for us, we're going to do this big 12, and we've made a form with anchor bolts and a wooden top there and a pattern for our pier. We'll show you that next time we get on here. I'll hopefully have my beautiful co-host out here, and we will show you how we do that when we pour. And I'm hoping to pour tomorrow after work. But as you can see, we're level this way, and if you turn the level the other way, we are also level this way, right there. It's looking pretty good. And don't forget, the anchor bolts have adjustment in it, and if you're putting a steel pier on top, or however you choose to do it, there's going to be 3 bolts, and you can put a nut on the top of each one, and you'll be able to adjust the level on your pier. But that's pretty much it. We're getting there. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to pour this and let you know how we made out. See you then. Okay, hey, we're out here again in Florence, Arizona at Starlight Starbright Observatory. It's probably a little noisy, but as you can see, we have the cement mixer going, and we have our sonotube right there, and we also have this for our bolts. If you look right here, so we have this is a form. There's a 1/2-inch anchor bolts there, and I drilled a pattern into our pier. And then when we fill this sonotube up, we're going to go ahead. We have our marks on there. We did some pre-marks, and we're going to set that down in there and leave that there and make sure it's level. And then when that dries, we can just unscrew the board right off, the nuts off, and pull the board right off. And we're going to have a perfect pattern for our pier to go right down on, and bolt that with 3 bolts to level that pier out, because it will need some extra leveling. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. We've got like 5 bags mixed. I think we're going to need a lot more concrete. We're going to have to run over to the container and get some more. But it's looking pretty good right now. And when I'm done here, my daughter's out here helping me, and then I'll show you what we did. Mixing in the mixer here, and then we poured about a half a bucket in the bucket so I can show you the consistency. It's kind of runny like that, so this way it fills the whole cavern up really good, and you're just going to gingerly drop it down in here. Just like that. You don't want to hit the sonotube because you might move it. We did 7 bags of 60-pound bags of concrete. As you can see here, we took our form. Basically, we poured the concrete in there, and then we took this metal rod, and you take the rod and you move it up and down and squish it all around until it gets really soupy on top. You take the rod and just grate it off at the top of your sonotube. And if you can see under here, there's marks under there. I don't know if my daughter can get the marks. So there's some marks under there. You just pre-fit that and set that down in there, and you just kind of squish it down on top. Take your level, and then we'll level that. It doesn't have to be perfect, because your screws here is what's going to hold your pier on, and you'll be able to tilt your pier with these screws. But you still want it as level as possible.
So that's pretty much it. We just got a little bit of cleanup to go, and we'll come back in a day or two, and we'll unscrew this, and then we'll have a nice pier. All right, till next time.